Welcome back everyone to my channel. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. This week I am working on a bit of an aquamarine type feel with a river of crimson down the center. So let's take a look. And as we get into this pour for this week's video, thanks to everyone at the Fluid Art Express for inviting me this week to collaborate in a group of videos, and I'll link the rest below in my description to give you a quick little reference guide to the other 4 or 5 creators who gave part in this collaboration. So thanks again for having me, and enjoy all those awesome creators as well. Okay, and as for this pour itself this week, I'm working with 3 or 4 really pretty colors for the sake of a bit of an aqua theme. I went with a light blue violet, a light blue permanent, cobalt blue, and finally alizarin crimson, which is really quite pretty. It is a very deep crimson, which is, in my opinion, for the sake of this pour, worked out really well because it really highlights the other blues in the center of this pour. So I had a focal point in mind being the crimson, which wound up being my center colors, and again wanting to help those blues give a bit of pop in the middle, and it did a great job all in all. Now I think when I was picking my colors for this particular pour, I was actually choosing them because I'm sad that summer in my neck of the woods in Canada is coming to a close, and we're actually wrapping up fall pretty quick here as well, that I wanted to keep my summer feels in mind and in focus for this week's pour. So I'm keeping the theme of the ocean, theme of the sun in mind when I make this pour. So how was everyone's summer? We wrapped up a very busy September with a lot of activities and some time away. Let me know what you guys get up to this past summer. Any vacations that were abroad or super fun? Let me know in the comments below and we can chat about them. Okay, as I look back on this pour, keeping my crimson in the center of the canvas, I'm always interested to see where things went well and where things could have gone better, or where I may have a learning experience. Now I promise you in a few seconds here we will see a learning experience that I'll shout out and I'll make very specifically detailed for you because it was a bit of an oopsie. So as we lead into the rest of these small little puddles, I'm again keeping my crimson as the focal point in the middle, with my swipes going down the middle and off to the top thirds, we'll call them, in terms of my swipe pattern. So again, keeping my blues on the outside compared to where my crimson will be on these swipes. And going in for my breaking of my puddles. So I really enjoy using the back of my paintbrush because it's rounded. Now the fact that it's rounded means that it can't catch on the canvas, or has a very low likelihood of catching on any kind of little fabrics that could be poking out of the canvas. So I choose the back of a paintbrush. Again, just for me, works best in my experience, and also allows for some very pretty patterns on top of it. So as I get into the end of the wrecks, I find this to be very calming as well. So on top of really enjoying the paint pouring process, this is my favorite part in terms of the entire thing. Now I'm going in for my first of 3 little swipes. This is my little 3-inch palette knife that has become my favorite tool recently. I'm going through my first swipe, and I'm really quite happy with how this swipe turned out. I always find my first swipes to be much better than the rest, depending on the day. So I'm happy with the first 2/3 of the first swipe. Now I'll explain what I mean in a second. With this second swipe, it begins slow like I expect. And as I go forward, I don't take my time, and I dug my palette knife a little too far in. Right about there, it gets a bit deep and kind of murky. So as we go in for the last of the 3, this is maybe where I wanted to just burn it to the ground and just begin over again. So I was quite slow with intent, because as I got to the end of this particular row, I wanted to go across the very first swipe. As I did that, I audibly went, oh no, I just kind of smeared it and made it all mucky. So I wanted to just start over. It took about 3 or 4 minutes to just re-center or regroup myself before going into my tilts. But lesson learned to go slow with your swipes, making sure your cells and lacing are where you want them to be, or as best you can get them to. So anyway, go slow, no big rush. Again, lesson learned, so go slow next time. Okay, getting into the tilts. So now and then you may notice me, I may like look as though I'm wiggling the canvas back and forth or up and down. So depending on my idea in my brain of what I want to have happen on the canvas, I want to keep as much lacing effect and cell pattern in the middle as I possibly can. So as I get down to the top of the canvas or the bottom, depending which way I'm tilting, you may see me kind of wobble like this back and forth, kind of wiggle left to right, or even, you know, go back and forth. That looks like jittering. It's to make sure that I can try to keep the lacing row, we'll call it. So I have my 3 rows I used initially, but wanting those all to keep all 3 lanes I did off the beginning in the center of the canvas, again, as best I can without dumping them off the side. So I'm going very slow, again, with intent to make sure that my patterns I want to have keep later on stay in the middle and don't fall off the sides or right off the hop. And now looking back on this particular painting, I find that this was actually a fairly simple pour in terms of, you know, order. There were puddles, they were kind of in sync with where they should be on the canvas. There was 3 simple swipes. Again, making sure to just be mindful of the speed of how you do things. There's no race, just, you know, be aware of what you're doing and make sure to go slow. Now this is really 4 tilts, and that was pretty much it, because I kept, again, that lacing structure in the middle. Now, why I don't typically dump my paintings quickly is because with your lacing structure, if you decide to really tilt your painting really aggressively, it can pull the structure apart, which will distort your lacing altogether. So I try to go slow, which is in part why I may take enough to speed up my video on my lacing, but this is why I do it, to maintain the integrity of the lacing, making sure my overall composition and look of the painting looks like I wanted to in the end. And now wrapping up this particular pour, let me know in the comments below what you guys think on this puddle pour. Again, 4 simple colors, 3 blues, 1 crimson. I love the crimson, looks very pretty. Again, curious what your thoughts are on this particular pour and how it shook out. Now, as we go in for the overhead view of this finalized pour, I'm really happy with, again, the lacing structure and the nice pretty crimson river down the middle. I think that each color complements each other, and overall I'm very happy with how this turned out. So if you have enjoyed this video, click the thumbs up below, and I hope again to see you next week in next week's video, and we will of course see you again in the next one.